Hey guys, Catherine here with my full spoilery review of the Hey Arnold movie, like I did last night with my initial thoughts. I'm going to stick true to those because I just rewatched it again and I took notes along the way, and I will stick with the fact that it is very, it hits that nostalgia bone right where us 90 kids who grew up with grew up with the show did. Also, like I said, you don't really need to watch the whole series to get the whole point of the movie. You just need to watch the episode called The Journal. It's basically like the series finale of the show before this movie came out. So it kind of ties everything up. It explains how Arnold gets the journal, and it kind of explains like how his parents went down to San Lorenzo to help these green-eyed people with what they call the sleeping sickness. So we start off the movie with Arnold in his bedroom. He's dreaming of seeing his parents, but we don't see their faces, and we don't see Eduardo's face in the dream, which is good because it kind of plays into the plot later. And then he wakes up and he's like really sad because, you know, his parents are gone, and anyone that has lost a parent or whatever would know what it's like to not have their parents around. And he's been raised by his grandparents basically his whole life, so that's all he ever knows. And speaking of that, it's a really clever way of how they tied his last name in with the series, and it makes so much sense now because his grandpa always called him Short Man, and we'd always just assume that that was like, you know, a cute little nickname because Arnold is shorter than like Helga and Gerald and whatever. But come to find out, that's actually Arnold's last name. We find this out when he has to sign his passport. And after that, everyone calls Arnold's grandpa Mr. Shortman. Ah. Okay. So, if I look over to my side, it's because I've got my notepad here with my notes. And then Arnold makes a promise to his to his grandpa, saying that he's not going to go out and search for his parents, but his grandpa said he could go talk to Eduardo, and maybe Eduardo could help fill in the mystery. So, but we'll get to that in just that will tie in a sec. So, it's basically Arnold's last day of school before summer, and Mr. Simmons, their teacher, comes up and he says, hey, there's this contest that's like due in a week where the Helpers for Humanity, so kind of like Habitat for Humanity, but, you know, Arnold's universe version, is having a contest to where if they can find the biggest humanitarian, that they can, you know, win a trip to San Lorenzo and get a tour of the rainforest and whatever. And of course, Helga and Gerald, after Arnold's attempt at trying to do something and then it just failing and he gets really depressed, Helga pulls out all of her camera footage of Arnold helping out different people in the community. So basically just little clips from the previous episodes, like with the turtle and different things like that. And they splice it into a movie and they send it off to the contest people. And I use contest in quotes, and we'll get to that in just a moment. So, Mr. Simmons sends in the video, and they all call Arnold. He gets back from this very long walk. Grandpa's like, hey, you have people upstairs, up on the roof. So he goes up to the roof, and it's everyone that he knows, and they show him the video. And they're like, hey, we won the trip to San Lorenzo. So, next thing we know, they're all packing up and going to San Lorenzo for their trip with their teacher and Helga's sister Olga. Her dad sends beepers with them because he wants them to sell them to the natives because, you know, it's 2017. We don't use beepers anymore, so I guess he just has to get rid of his product. So, when we get there, they have to meet up at the boat at 3 o'clock, so that gives them a chance to look around. And Arnold's like, hey, I got this envelope that has Eduardo's address on it, and him and Gerald and Abner go check out the house, and they notice that there was a break-in and everything's like disheveled and whatever. And Abner's kind of smelling around, and he smells a smell that's like, I don't know about this. This seems weird. And Abner is a very smart pig, and we'll get to that when it comes up to that point as to why he's a smart pig. So, they're like, okay, let's get out of here before something happens, and we gotta go meet the boat anyway. So they go up to the boat dock to go meet the boat to take them to the location that they're gonna stay to do their habitat or their helpers for humanity thing. So they meet the boat driver, and he's like, hi, my name is Eduardo, and they're like, oh my god, it's this... Arnold's like, oh my god, it's the same Eduardo. And Eduardo, also in quotes for a very important reason, is like, oh my god, it's Arnold. It's my friend's kids, like, whatever. Because his parents and Eduardo were good friends. So they all get on the boat unsuspectingly, thinking, okay, what bad could happen? Because, it's just Eduardo taking us to the boat. Oh, also, just really quick, just a side thing, I thought it was really funny and a little weird, and Mr. Wynn sums it up perfectly in the show when he says, it's creepy. It's when Abner is given bacon. It's like, I know with chickens, if they eat their own eggs, it's a form of cannibalism. So wouldn't that be kind of the same way? I don't know. That was off topic, but it was just something that I thought was funny and weird. There were a lot of funny moments, but I'm not going to cover all of those. I'm basically just going over the main synopsis of the show. So, back to it. Okay, so they're on the boat, and Arnold's talking with Eduardo about his parents and how his parents are like, and he's like, oh yeah, your dad was always a very clumsy guy, always breaking things, and every time he met with your mom, he broke, like, an arm or whatever sort of thing, like, making it seem like he is a legit guy that, that we think he is. Like, we think, oh, he's actually, a good guy or whatever. And he gives Arnold this necklace that's, like, the green-eyed people's, like, necklace, which we find out later has a tracking device on it, and we don't see that because of the way that they pan the screen and whatnot. So we all think it's legit, but Eduardo is like, hey, we gotta keep this secret. We can't let them know that we're actually gonna go look for the green-eyed people once we get to base. So don't tell your friends. Which you think, that'd be weird, because why would... Gerald is like the one that wanted Arnold to go on the trip, so why wouldn't he tell Gerald? So right off the bat, you get a weird feeling about Eduardo. Like, why wouldn't Eduardo want to tell Arnold? And all the kids are enjoying their, like, feast and everything, like, all their food, whatever, so. But then, later on, when Arnold's feeling all sad because he can't tell anybody, he's up in the crow's nest, kind of just, looking out into the thing, and Helga sees him up there, and she's like, oh, I love him, I'm gonna go see what's wrong, and maybe I can, like, comfort him, and give him some words, and, all that stuff, because, we know she loves him. And what I love about their relationship in this is that she still treats him exactly the same, but she also tries to, like, confess her feelings, and every time Arnold's like, oh no, my parents are gone, like, blah. And she can't really get her point across, as he says later in the movie, like, oh, I'm sorry, I know you were trying to tell me this important thing, but I wasn't listening because I was focused on myself. And he doesn't mean to do it selfishly, like, he's not a jerk about it, it's just the fact that he's, really sad that you'd be too if your parents were missing for, like, 10 years of your life, and then you finally get this chance to maybe figure out what happened to them. It kind of hits you hard. So, but during that first little heart-to-heart that they have, Arnold sees a boat, and he's like, oh my god, maybe it's La Sombra, which him and Eduardo have also talked about. La Sombra, which was a notorious river pirate, or whatever. So, he goes down to tell Eduardo about La Sombra, And then Lasombra and his men try to invade the boat to fight Eduardo and the kids and whatever, and try to... We don't know his intentions. Like, we just think that he's trying to take Arnold because Arnold's, like, the prophesized volcano child from the journal episode. And like I said, you need to watch the journal episode to understand what that whole thing is. So, there's that. But, luckily, Eduardo gets the boat away from Lasombra. And I'm using all these terms, like, metaphorically because it'll all make sense in a minute here. Let's see. The trip takes a turn when a boat of pirates tries to invade. And then the boat crashes, and he's like, well, not all is lost, because our base camp is literally up this giant hill. So they have to hike. Sid loses his beetle boots, and that's really sad, because it's a really funny moment, but because we know how he feels about his boots, and Rhonda acts like, not every person, but those, like, not really, like, nature-y people who are like, oh my god, I'm getting eaten alive here, whereas Nadine's like, yes, give me all of the rainforest animals so I can take them back for my collection, sort of thing. So they're, like, polar opposites. I thought that was really funny how they, did that. And I also want to point out that Arnold, if I didn't already just say it, Arnold and Helga's relationship plot in the movie didn't really distract from, like, the whole thing. Like, I think some people were worried that maybe their relationship would be, like, really distracting from the film, but it wasn't. Like, they still had their typical, like, I hate you, you're a stupid football head relationship sort of thing. So, I liked how they did that. Let's see. And then when they get to their base camp, Eduardo, I should say, gets on stage, and he's like, psych, I'm not actually Eduardo, peels off the mustache, and he's like, I'm actually Lasombra, and you're my prisoners now, and Arnold was an idiot, and now we're partners, and we have our secret, and everyone's like, oh shit, Arnold, what did you do? Like, they were already mad at him, like, once the boat crashed, and Eduardo / Lasombra had said, like, oh, Arnold and I partnered up, and we have this secret, and, you know, if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about at this point. But he basically reveals that he is Lasombra, he's the bad guy, and he, like, basically has to, he took them prisoner, and he wants Arnold to take him to the Green-Eyed People to find the Corazon, which is the heart that will actually help cure the Green-Eyed People. But Arnold will, like, figure that out as we go on here. So. Oh, and during the boat thing,